Hello and welcome to Sports Opinion, the weekly sports talk show on Public Access TV. That is Channel 18. My name is Dirk Keller, and we've got all the guys together here today. It's our last show of 2014. We're going to make bowl picks later on. We're going to talk Hawkeye basketball, football, a little high school, a little wrestling. But first I want to introduce you to Pat White on your far left. Bob Boyd is back after a little hiatus, yeah. And Bud Supple is here for his last time this year. He'll be on assignment for the next few months following the sunshine.
Yeah.
And Earl Murphy. Thank God for Earl Murphy, too.
Boys heading south. That's
We're all together for the last time this year, and we got a lot to talk about. So I thought we'd talk about Hawkeye men's basketball first. We all witnessed no two ways around it, the embarrassment that was the Iowa State-Iowa men's basketball game last Friday night in Carver Hawkeye Arena. The
we
crowd.
had trouble making field goals.
We've had trouble making field goals all this short season.
Yes.
And last year.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo, Pat. I think it's pretty clear that they missed Devin Marble badly. But he ain't coming back.
They must say more than I thought we would.
Really?
People who I thought would grow to fill in just haven't really done it.
We're shooting very poorly, bottom line.
Yeah.
From
Oglesby
the
is,
yeah.
Josh Oglesby is a senior, correct?
That's correct, yes.
He's shooting 26% so far this year, and I think you're going to start to see his minutes diminish even further.
Got to.
Yeah.
They have to.
Yeah.
He's doing other things well, and Fran keeps praising him for defense, passing, even some rebounding.
Mm-hmm.
But when they put him on the floor, they need points.
Yeah, and he's just killing us offensively, and I hate to say it. He's not the only one. Peter Jock.
Giselle, Clemens.
Giselle had one good game shooting the ball, and that was at North Carolina. And Clemens has just disappeared. He had a strong start to the season, and he's disappeared offensively. And I don't know that if it's talent or if it's confidence or a combination of the two, but
And coaching.
yeah. They look like men against boys. I'm sorry, they look like boys against men when they played Iowa State.
Iowa State's good.
Yeah, they got good players.
You're right.
And you know what?
Yeah.
They're going to get better. Because we didn't see their second leading scorer who was held out of that game. They also have a big man who becomes eligible, I think, this weekend.
Why is he becoming eligible now?
He must have
He's a
transferred
transfer,
mid-year.
But
That's all I can figure.
Yeah.
he's from Marquette, I think.
But you know what? They were hot from the perimeter. I mean, 3-point, what they have, 12 3-pointers?
You have to remember, we were only down 5 points at halftime, so we must have played halfway decent half. And really, it was 2 points
Yeah.
where that lucky three-pointer went in with the buzzer.
Let me say this. I don't know about you guys, but in watching that game, there were several times when I looked over to my son and I said, watch out. In the first half, watch out. We just might get blown out here. And to the Hawks' credit, they hung in. They played some pretty decent defense there throughout the first half.
Very good.
But in hindsight, I thought the game was lost at the end of the first half when Giselle just gave up the ball to Iowa State, who promptly came down and hit a three-pointer and turned what could have been a tie game or even a 1-point lead into a 5-point deficit. I thought that was very deflating.
But they were the better team.
Mhm.
They shot better. And,
Got better
it's the
athletes.
final score. Better athletes. You're right, Pat. Better athletes. Amen.
And Fred Hoiberg is a heck of a coach.
Yes,
Yes,
he
he
is.
is.
And he's a heck of
I
a
agree.
recruiter.
Yeah, he sure is. How he puts these things together.
He's got all these transfers, all these guys,
Yeah.
on their last chance, the last chance saloon in Ames.
That's right.
They're making the most of it.
Pretty discouraging.
Peter Jock looks occasionally like he's going to start making some baskets, but
Yeah.
his defense is terrible. Talk about Olay defense.
Yeah.
Whew.
And let's face it, Giselle can't keep up with the elite point guards or anybody
No.
with much
No,
speed.
he can't.
So you guys are throwing them under the barrel.
No, what we're doing is assessing what we saw Friday night.
Yeah.
the biggest thing is none of those three-pointers, not one of them, was guarded against.
Well, there
They
you
just
go.
shot the ball away and not a soul around any of them.
I don't know if we
That's
faced a team
defense.
that,
It
yeah,
isn't there.
No.
they
right.
came
Yeah.
down and just put the ball up. They didn't really go inside at all, Iowa State.
Right.
They just put the ball up, and I don't know that we've faced anybody yet this year
That's right. And
who
the
does
next-
that.
The next game, they didn't go in.
Yeah.
So they had a hard time winning.
They were fired up, and
So you have to count on the three-pointers.
did you guys hear about the halftime event at that game?
No.
The Iowa corn growers gave away a car, and it was down to two people, one an Iowa fan, one an Iowa State fan. They had them on the floor with the car. The Iowa State fan won, and they gave him the microphone, and he yells out, "Go Cyclones!" Yeah, you know.
Everybody boo.
Oh yeah. I just kind of added insult to injury.
Well, they gave it away to an Iowa State fan up at Ames, too.
Did they?
Yeah,
For what?
same thing.
Well, you mean football?
Car, no.
Well, it's the same
Basketball
thing
game
up
when
there.
we played them at Ames last.
Oh, a year ago.
Oh, last year, yeah.
So I
Well-
don't know if they just draw out of the Iowa State hat or what.
It drew a lot of ire. People were really upset that a Cyclone fan would be given a microphone there in Carver Hawkeye Arena. And when, again, in hindsight, it was pretty stupid. You just don't do that. But you don't let a team score 18 straight points on
Was
you
it
either.
painted, was it painted red?
I don't
I hope
think
it was
so.
black and gold.
No, I don't think so.
Speaking of things you don't do, you don't go blow kisses to the losing team student section on the
That's,
court.
that's right.
Really poor taste.
They
by
were
being-
bush league the whole game, talking smack, taunting. They weren't just taunting the students; they were taunting the Hawkeye players
Well, the
too.
Cyclones have never been known for class. You ever been to a football game up there?
Yep,
Okay, that says it
Yep.
all right there.
it
So
does. That's why I've never gone back.
Yeah.
I used to go every other year.
That's the way I feel about going to Ames for a football game
Yeah.
too, yeah.
I would imagine their coach had some words with him afterwards.
Yeah.
Because Fred
Yeah,
is
he-
a classy guy.
Yeah.
He
He
apologized, and
is,
the other
yeah.
guy apologized. They didn't play too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see that.
All the fans, to the coaches, to Iowa, to having the police there 3 times. He must have had a wild party at his house.
Oh, the
Kid that didn't play.
Dijon Jones, whatever his
Oh,
name
yeah,
is.
yeah.
But he,
You know, the other interesting thing about Niang and winning on our card is we were his second choice.
Yeah.
It was between Iowa State and Iowa where he was going to play. Fran wanted him badly.
Well,
And I can see why. I mean, he is a talent.
oh my, he's a stud out there.
Well, we're finishing second and third on a lot of people. That's part of our problem.
Exactly.
So,
But I don't think we're throwing him under the bus. It
No.
is only
No.
one game. But here's the concern. They're playing in what's acknowledged to be the best conference in the country. In the way they're playing, we're going to be a second division team.
We beat one team.
well, they got a couple tough games ahead of them. Northern Iowa, they're gonna be fired up for us, and their
That's Saturday
three-point
night.
shooters will have the perimeter open, and that, they better
And they're
change some
ranked.
things on defense.
they're ranked. He's
Yeah.
a ranked team.
Fine team,
We're not supposed to beat him.
with Iowa kids.
Playing
And-
with a couple of guys who would have liked to have been considered by Iowa, but
Couple West High boys.
really weren't.
That's right.
Legacies, no less. Brad Lowhouse's son, Michael Morgan's son.
Interesting.
Yep.
It is.
Might get more interesting on Saturday.
6:30 on channel Big Ten Network.
Okay.
6:30 Saturday on the Big Ten Network. Iowa versus Northern Iowa in Des Moines. Is it at the Wells Fargo?
Wells Fargo.
Yes,
And then it doesn't get any easier for Iowa. Northern Florida,
North Florida.
North Florida comes to
I don't know
Carver
where that
Hawkeye.
is. I don't know where that is.
I don't,
It's
Way up north.
way up north in Florida.
Do you know
It
what?
is.
Do you know what
Right
city
on the
that?
line. I
It's
go
not
by
in
it on the
southern
way down.
Florida.
Is it in the middle of this? Along,
Closer to Alabama.
Have no
75?
idea.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is that where it's at?
Yeah, well, not in Alabama, but it's the north.
are they a fairly
Yeah.
new Division I school? Do you know?
Well, there are a lot of schools in Florida.
Yeah.
I'd never
Yeah, I
heard of
think
them
they
before.
are.
Are they? Well, North Florida beat Purdue at Purdue earlier this year. I think, I'm not sure, but I think they've only got one loss.
Didn't they beat Ohio State also, or no? At Ohio State?
I thought they beat another. How about Michigan?
No.
They've got 2 or 3 losses.
Michigan lost to the New
Michigan
Jersey
like
Institute of
6-4.
Technology.
Michigan has 4 losses.
Right.
And
4 losses, right.
who did Incarnate Word?
Nebraska.
Nebraska, there we go. I'd never heard of either of those schools. Until this year, I'd never heard of North Florida either.
Well, my wife is from New Jersey, and she'd never heard of NJIT.
Oh, they beat Michigan?
It turns out
Yeah.
when she left New Jersey, it was known as the Newark Technical Institute, and it changed its name in 1975.
And now they're a Division I college basketball
Yeah.
powerhouse.
Yeah.
Well, more power to them.
And I found out from talking to a friend who taught here, who's got students who have gone on to graduate degrees there, that it's a well-respected university for a variety of technical research degrees.
Well, and now they've got basketball.
Yes, they do. One of the great stories that we'll see how this plays out. Reading a story in the Newark newspaper that NJIT, like every university, has a bookstore, and like every university bookstore, they have paraphernalia, hats, shirts. They have received, since they beat Michigan, T-shirt orders from students, presumably students, at every school in the Big Ten.
Oh, yeah.
So
Is that right?
Really?
Michigan is headed for a season where it's going to, every place it travels, it's going to find
NJIT.
students wearing NJIT shirts, and you can be sure they'll be chanting
That'll be fun.
NJIT.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to get one of those for Christmas.
Darn right.
I would take one too.
Yeah. Maybe an Incarnate Word hat to wear when Nebraska comes to town.
Michigan.
Well, the Hawkeye basketball team's got problems, and I think it starts with recruiting. I think our coaches are good. I just, it gets down to talent, and I see a lot of similarities between the football and basketball teams.
But here's one of my concerns in terms of recruiting. If you go back to the end of last season, when pretty publicly at least 3 transfers looked at us and visited, and fairly publicly because of things like Facebook and Twitter, 4 or 5 quote-unquote big men looked at us ahead of the early signing period and made a choice to go somewhere else. Now, there's got to be some commonality running through all those decisions to go to some other school.
I agree,
And
Pat.
that worries me.
Me too. The 3 freshmen we have this year, the 3 new kids we have, Trey Dickerson is a sophomore, junior college transfer, who looks to be maybe the fastest player we've had since I don't know when, since Ronnie Lester. But he doesn't do much defensively,
No, so far he's overmatched.
and he's not going to be an offensive threat.
Well, he may grow into that.
He might.
As quick as he is. I mean, he's got some ball skills,
Yeah.
but he sure hasn't shown them so
No.
far.
And Dominic
Too
Ewell,
many turnovers.
I like him.
he's got,
Ewell looks good.
yeah.
Upside.
And I think we're going to see more of him. But we haven't seen enough of the other kid. I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden.
Brady Ellingson.
Brady Ellingson.
Yeah.
We don't know if he's going to redshirt or not. He still can.
It's very strange the way I don't think he can without, I don't know whether it's Big Ten or NCAA or both, permission. As soon as you play, you give up your own option. And what he would have to do now is petition for a medical red shirt on the grounds that his foot is not healing. But even that has a limit to the number of games. He's got to be awfully close.
I think he's
to the
close,
limit.
but he's not there yet from what I've read.
I don't know.
And he hasn't played enough to really get a feel.
Even Fran's explanations have been sort of vague.
Yeah.
Well, I think when you get down to the recruiting thing, though, we lost 9 of our last 10 games last year. That couldn't have been too impressive to
No,
any
that's right.
potential recruit,
Yeah, that's
period.
Well, and you have to
We
wonder
folded.
if Fran's personality on the floor during games scares kids away.
It could.
Yeah, it sure could. It would scare me away.
Mhm.
I was never fond of being screamed at and called names.
I agree.
I think a lot of people don't want to play for somebody who screams and yells and swears. Now,
A la Bobby Knight.
my observation this year is Fran has mellowed.
I
That's
agree.
good.
He's not so far, he hasn't been nearly as
We haven't played a
volatile
Big Ten school.
well, maybe that's it. But he hasn't been screaming nearly as much. He had an
He had-
eruption in, I forget what game it was, where he was pounding on the scorer's table.
This
right-
year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right in front of Dolph.
You
I don't
should have had
remember.
a technical on
Yeah,
that.
he should have.
Well, I talked to some people that were in New York, and we played Syracuse in Texas, and they were embarrassed by his behavior.
This year.
That's right, yeah. They were
What
in
did
New
he do?
York, Madison Square Garden.
What did he do? Do you know?
Yeah, berated the players very openly and got all red, and just like you've seen him do here, and we just can't have that. I mean, we like Fran, and he's a good coach, and we'd like to, but you know,
And he's pulled us out of the doldrums.
he
No
has,
question.
and we all respect that, but I'm afraid that one of these days he's gonna lose it on the court, and it could cost him his job.
Yeah.
You know, and none of us wanna see that.
Yeah, and you're talking about 18-year-old kids.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many of you get or looked at the Voice of the Hawkeyes, which is one of the magazines that comes out that's
Yep.
focused on Iowa, but they had a cover picture of him in his angry mode. It was just devastating if you were considering coming to Iowa. His eyes were glazing and fierce. And
The Franimal.
The recruiters know this.
he looked terrible.
The recruiters
And
know this.
They'll use it against him.
Yeah, that's right, and that concerns all of us, because we certainly
But he's
want
a-
to see him be successful here.
I think at
be here.
heart, he's a very nice guy. And
Yes, yes.
I said he appears to have mellowed. I think lots of parents who go through what he and Margaret went through this year with a son fighting for his life, I think that changes a lot of people.
Very true.
Good point, Pat.
Yeah.
Well, still, and nonetheless, the last 2 years, we just haven't gotten the recruits that we need to compete at an elite level in the Big Ten.
Now, the four that he's signed are smaller,
Mm-hmm.
6'4", 6'5", 6'6". One is listed
Yeah.
at 6'7", but all would appear to be very athletic.
Mhm.
And two are from Chicago, which is a huge recruiting breakthrough.
I watched the
That
kid
is
from
true.
Simeon play on TV a
you
couple
did?
times.
Yeah, how's he look to you?
He looks great, but he's overshadowed by
Yeah, they're
the
right.
kid going to Nebraska.
They must have a terrific team.
Oh, they always do.
Is
They're
there
a
two
powerhouse.
or three Division I recruits
Simeon, yeah.
besides him?
I was going to say, I think there's 5. I think the whole starting 5 are Division I recruits.
Oh, my goodness.
So he's just kind of run of the mill when it comes to comparing him to the other kids on the team. But he looks good. He looks a lot like Dominic Yule in his physical stature. He's long,
Yeah.
slender. He's got some muscles he needs to put on, but nice shooting touch. He got to the free throw line and looked good. The style of play that Simeon plays is just nonstop run. I mean, they don't set up an offense and run it. It is boom, 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 up and down the court. And both games I saw, they played really good competition and blew them out of the water. I can't think of the kid's name that's going to Nebraska, but he's the kind of guy that Iowa needs. He's an elite player who was physically imposing at the high school level.
He had family that went to Nebraska.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did read that now. that
He
you
had
mention
those
it.
ties, yes.
Yeah.
But did you see the kid from Linmar last night, from North Carolina, that we thought we missed
Oh.
out
Oh,
on?
yeah.
Marcus Page?
5
Yeah.
points.
Well, he didn't do much better against
No,
Iowa.
that's what I'm
No,
saying.
that's right. What do you
Are
have
they
against us?
disappointed
7?
with him?
I don't know.
He was supposed to be an All-American already.
Yeah,
One of next year's Iowa recruits, Hutton, the
Yes.
second guy from Chicago, is coming to Iowa City in a couple of weeks to play West.
Oh, yeah.
Berge schedules some heavy competition, and he's got the Chicago team coming to the West High Gym in a couple of weeks. I'm
Oh, that's
sorry,
good
I don't know the
information.
date, but I would
Yeah.
guess it'll be
That's good.
pretty full of Hawkeye fans wanting to check
Yeah.
this kid out.
They have some good players there that should be recruited.
Is that going to be after the Christmas break?
Okay.
Yeah, because local high school
Interesting,
teams
yeah.
are done. This Friday is their last,
Saturday.
is it Saturday, last games for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I'm going to say it again. I think it's just the dumbest thing to take 2 weeks off in the middle of the season, in the heart of basketball season, boys and girls. I've lived
Well, in
here.
Illinois, they play holiday tournaments.
Oh, and they're the best.
Big deals
They-
in Chicago area.
And that's how you get up. That's how you ramp up.
Mm-hmm.
Is during those holiday tournaments when
Most teams don't take those full 2 weeks off. They continue to practice, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
the majority of
True,
them have
true.
a closed scrimmage.
right.
They bring some other team in. or
That's
go
right.
someplace.
Regina does that
Yeah.
2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Bring
Yeah, so
someone
it's,
in.
it's not a cold break, but
Who-
they could
you
just
know,
as easily be
this year,
playing a competitive
is?
game.
Yeah.
That's right.
Play the game.
I
That's
think
right, yeah.
Linmar is one of them.
Okay.
The Regina's going to play.
Yeah, well, you can't say they're playing as a scrimmage.
Yeah.
And I think Xavier, and I can't think of the other, but now Saturday they have to go to Bellevue. This is where,
Oh,
if you want to
my.
criticize the
I know.
state, you have to criticize the way they've made every one of these schools go to a certain district.
That's a difficult drive.
Yeah, in the winter, no less.
Yeah,
It's real pretty. It's a pretty drive, but man.
Not at night.
Where is,
Bellevue's on the
Bellevue.
Mississippi River, south of Dubuque, north of
Yeah.
Macokota.
yeah. It's a,
okay.
Real
for
pretty
the summer,
town.
it's real pretty, it's not for the winter.
Yeah, but there's no real easy way to get there.
But that Goose Lake that come down
Oh.
Saturday, they're supposed to be the toughest team of all of them. And they had a 7-point lead on Regina at halftime.
Did they?
Yeah.
And how did that end up? I mean, I know Regina won,
by
but
7 points,
did
I
they?
think. Right.
well,
Well,
I
they
don't.
started getting it into Cook.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, no, you're right. What Goose Lake did is put 3 guys on Cook.
can Cook play basketball?
Oh, yeah.
No,
golly.
at Iowa.
Yes.
No, I don't think both of them can. He?
Well, no, nobody can do that anymore, but
No.
if he weren't a football player, he'd be a Division
Yep.
I
Yeah.
basketball scholarship.
Yeah.
He's averaging about
Yeah.
25
He's
points
good.
and 10 rebounds a game. By the way,
Yeah.
Iowa City is home to not one but 2 top-ranked high school boys basketball teams.
Yeah.
West High and Regina are both ranked number 1 in their respective classes. And
You know, I'll tell
it's
you
been a
what
long time since
Cook
that's
can
happened.
do. I've never seen a guy do that big. He can step out. These guys would get around him, or he'd just go out to the free throw line or beyond,
Mm-hmm.
make a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
He made 4 of them, I think. So, I mean,
He's-
he's a good
he's-
shooter, and
He's a heck
he
of a
just knows
talent.
what's going on in a game.
And his little brother's going to be a good one, too.
Yeah.
He will be an elite basketball player.
How old is he?
Let's
Sixth
see.
grade.
Sixth grade, yeah.
He's his age. He's an old 6th grader. If you follow me, he was
Yeah.
born just after the cutoff date.
Oh,
And my son Paul and he played together on a team a couple winters ago, and you could see it then. The kid's a talent, and Marv coached him really well. He's really good with little kids.
Yeah.
But he's going to be a good one. But Drew, get out there to see him when you can. It might be the last time he gets to play basketball. Probably will be. So we've got 2 top-ranked teams in the state right here in Iowa City, boys basketball. City High girls, West High girls are both right up there, and Regina girls too. I think Regina girls are still undefeated.
A lot of good basketball in this
the
community.
Verducci
yeah.
girl.
Yeah, Cami
Yeah, she
Verducci.
played a real good game the other
She's a
night.
junior on the team. They've only got 1 senior on the team. And
They're all
Stein.
freshmen. They don't
yeah,
have,
Hannah Stein.
they don't have a sophomore team. They don't have a freshman team.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't. Don't tell me that. I've gone to every game.
Well, they've got teams for the freshmen and
They do
sophomores.
not. They do not play anybody. They don't have teams. I'm telling you that.
They're all in the varsity.
They're all on the varsity.
Yeah, but they still have. Don't they have freshman and sophomore
Oh,
games?
No.
Or
We went
JV.
Or JV, either one.
Huh.
They do not have them.
Don't have the numbers.
Wow. Well, it's tough. I know it's getting
Well-
tougher at Regina.
Well, these kids just feel, when they started for a freshman, a kid that's a freshman feels he's never gonna have a chance if he's starting as a freshman, you know? They just don't have them.
These are girls and boys both?
No, the boys have.
Okay.
Boys have a lot of guys out. I mean, they have a freshman team, a freshman sophomore team, and a junior varsity team. But we went Clear Creek, every game I've gone to, there's only been one girls' game.
Really?
And they beat Clear Creek, didn't they?
Yes, that was a big one.
Yeah, that's a,
And that's a big one for the boys too, because they're 3A.
Well, the good news is, all the listeners need to get out there and support these boys and girls high school
There's
teams.
some
Really good
top-notch
basketball
high
out there,
school
yeah.
basketball
Yeah,
here.
should
Yeah.
be a great
Usually
season for all of
Tuesday
them.
and Friday nights.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the
See
case.
see Regina's League, and I don't like it, but that's what they have. They play on Saturday and they start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Your freshmen
With
will
the
play.
lower
Then your
level.
junior varsity will
Yeah.
play, and your girls varsity will play, and then your boys varsity. So you're sitting there from 1:30 until 10 o'clock at
Yeah.
night or 9:30. But you get to see a lot of basketball. Now,
Well,
I've gone
one of
to
the
them
reasons
all.
they do that is that it reduces the total expense. You don't have
There
to.
you go, and that's,
Set the
and that's the
gym.
reason, it's
Yep.
because of their
Plus some
distance.
kids, yeah.
And that's
A lot
why
of
they're
time.
doing more on Saturday. Now, this will be their third Saturday
Yeah,
night of ball games, and it's because they go so far, they can't be taking those kids up there on Tuesday.
With basketball, you can get 3 or 4 teams on a
Yeah.
bus.
mm-hmm.
Bring them all at the same time.
No, that's just why they're doing that.
Yeah, well, the economics of high school sports, it's getting tougher and tougher, I think.
Well, we need TV money, that's what we need, right?
You know, I don't think it's limited
No.
to high
I'm just
school.
kidding. We don't need any more of that exposure.
UAB gave up its football program this year, which I think is an ominous sign for college football. It's
Yep.
Could
gotten
be, yeah.
More and more expensive.
I thought the same thing when I
That's
saw
a
it.
Yeah.
big-time school.
And when you think about it, football is the money wheel. It's what drives every other sport at a college or university. And for them to give it up means
well,
they give up.
well, Iowa's playing more teams in different sports. I mean, they added boys soccer, haven't they?
No.
Not,
No.
Not college.
Not
24
yet.
No, we haven't added, we're at 24 sports.
Yeah.
And is that
And
right?
Gary's been pretty open about the fact we can't afford to add anybody.
no.
Yeah.
There's been talk about men's soccer, hockey, women's wrestling, but we're pretty much at the
Hockey,
limit.
they really make money though.
At the collegiate level,
I
I
think
watched
some do.
Ohio
I
State,
think so.
Michigan the other night,
we'd have to build
18,000.
an arena.
Well, Kansas plays in Kansas City, so we could play in Cedar Rapids. They have the facility, so it's not.
But,
That's true.
Yeah.
you know, one of the reasons why nobody is going to be adding sports is there's some unknown with these new NCAA Power 5 conference rules.
Yeah.
They're all,
There you go.
the athletes are going to start getting some level of stipend.
At some point.
Texas has already budgeted for next year $10,000 per scholarship athlete,
Really?
yes.
I didn't know
Serious?
that.
They don't have permission to spend it yet.
But they did budget, I read that.
But they put it in their budget, and if you took that amount and brought it to the University of Iowa, you'd have, would it be $6.5 million? We've got about 650
Gosh.
scholarship people.
6,000, I heard.
I mean, we couldn't afford that.
When they start
I
paying
realize it.
athletes for sports in college, I stop buying tickets. That's
don't
not
blame
what
you.
it's supposed to be all
They're
about.
not talking about paying them.
Well, that's
outside-
what they're doing.
What they're trying to define is the quote, full cost, unquote, of attendance. And,
The full cost of attendance.
Mhm.
Attendance at
ancillary
college, yeah.
laundry, having a little money in your pocket to ask a date out on.
But that's
weekend
walking
or-
around the
Yeah.
real bottom line, which is paying the athlete,
Well,
isn't it?
it's trying to I don't think it is.
And some of it goes.
Depends on the amount. $10,000 is paying the athlete.
Yeah.
Sure is, yeah.
Less than that, maybe is not. I mean,
But
there are
these,
kids.
these other colleges won't be able to do it, so
No, they
what's
won't,
that
and
gonna
Oh,
do?
I
absolutely
mean,
not.
that's why places like UAB are dropping out.
Right,
Yeah,
They won't be able to compete.
I know you and I is really
They're struggling.
upset about it. Well, yeah, what do they have? 15,000 in that arena? And they didn't sell it out once this year.
And here's one of the real risks of the discussion is ongoing. But whatever this stipend is going to be, some are arguing that it needs to be tied to the area cost of living. So arguably, Rutgers may be given more than Iowa or Nebraska because it costs more to live on the East Coast.
that's
And
right.
that won't be good.
No,
It's all money, boys.
it
We're
is
lucky
that.
we got the Big Ten Network.
It is that.
What game did I watch? Oh, the Bears game the other night, Monday
Yeah.
Night Football.
Well,
Lot of empty seats there.
I wouldn't go.
Can't imagine why.
the Bears were going in the tank, and it was a terrible night.
Oh,
And the
you-
Bears fans started to empty early.
Yeah, really.
Well, it looked like a lot of them never showed up.
Oh.
And you're seeing more and more of that. It's going to be real interesting next football season
Yeah,
to see what kind of fallout there is, not just at Iowa, but everywhere.
No, it's happening around the country. In fact, there was just a news story within the last couple of days summarizing the attendance decline with all NCAA Division I schools, and it was something like 78%, 7 or 8% nationwide. That attendance was
I wouldn't
down.
be surprised if it's at least that much next year, and maybe more, double digits.
How much of, you're an advertising media guy, how much of it is because every game is on TV
It's a
now?
big part of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big part of it, and not just because of the convenience, but I've railed against this for a couple of years now. The actual in-game experience, if you're in the stadium, and it's not just Kinnick, it's really anywhere. The games have been extended a half hour because of all the added TV
Yeah,
commercials.
true.
You've got not just TV timeouts, but you've got replay timeouts galore. They've really opened up Pandora's box with these reviews of plays, and I think that's another big part of it. And the other thing too, it's just so expensive. It's $70 a ticket, and
going up.
contributions, and parking, and the cost of tailgating. It's coming soon, and that saturation point when people
Yeah.
just can't afford to do it anymore. College football, I think the same's going to happen to college basketball, because you've got the same built-in issues with college basketball, where you've got TV timeouts galore. You don't have as many replays, but you have them, just not as many.
But you have them on school nights too.
And the
You know,
starting times, yep.
Yeah, 8:30 at night. 10
In high
for
school
kids.
ball, a lot of kids don't go to the games.
Oh,
That's
no.
right.
Students.
And mediocre seasons do not help that attendance factor you're talking about.
Yeah. Boring style of play does not help.
But even good teams, you and I are one of the best teams, and they can't sell their place out.
No, or even close to it.
No, all right.
I
And
watched.
They do have Waterloo around there. and
Why they
got
hold 10, 12,000?
12,000, I think it is for basketball.
For basketball.
Yeah.
Last night, the kids and I were watching on KCRG's substation.
I watched that game.
Yeah, they had Kennedy and Washington boys, or girls and then boys.
Yeah,
There was nobody in the stands.
No, that was
is
sad.
that right?
I love to listen to John Campbell and Jess Settles.
Yeah.
I think they do a terrific job.
Yeah, they really do.
Jess Settles really just coming on
Well,
board.
he knows the game.
I know.
Yeah,
And he's got the personality.
Right.
Now, he's going to do some Big Ten Network stuff this
Yeah.
year.
He's already done.
He's already
he
done.
did some, didn't he? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Was it? Well, he
That's
hasn't
good.
done a Big Ten Network game yet, but he
He
did.
did one of those ESPN 3s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Well, that'd be good to see him get involved there.
And speaking of that, the game on Monday against North Florida is on ESPN3.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully, that's
Okay.
the last one this year that you won't be able to watch on TV. So
Now, if you have a computer, ESPN3 is not that bad.
I finally got it to work the last game that was on ESPN3,
Yeah,
but the games before I couldn't figure it
I
out.
watched
Yeah.
the women's game at Louisville on ESPN3.
What is the ESPN3?
It's a
Online, computer only.
Watch it on your computer.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get her- get her-
Didn't know
You wanna
that.
Turn the
Yeah.
radio on.
Yeah, it's just so much
Yeah, me
easier.
too.
to
But
turn on the
you
radio.
can't,
I
you can't,
don't mind that at all.
I don't either.
got the game up, I thought, well, I'm going to listen to Brent Balbinot and Shelley Till, and it turns out it was about 10 seconds
Yeah.
off. It wouldn't
Yeah,
work at all.
right.
Can't do
Yeah.
it.
No, I don't mind that at all.
Can't do it. Speaking of the Iowa women,
Yes.
they did their part in beating Iowa State last week. They had a Thursday night home game, and that game was close. It was nip and tuck. I think the Hawks led the whole way, but Iowa State wouldn't go away until the very end.
Their hothead has quieted down, hasn't he?
Oh, he had his moments.
He was, he yells at his players. I don't know how he continues to recruit the quality of athlete he does,
Was,
because they come off the court and
you can't see that on TV.
Yeah.
they don't show that.
I thought his players looked really downcast. Every time they'd go to the bench to get yelled at, they hang their head and really look like they'd been beat up.
Yeah, and he's had some good
I
teams
was
there.
gonna say, you
Good
can't knock
career.
him as a coach.
No,
Well, he doesn't have a great team this year, but that little number 11, and I can't think of her name,
But you
Yeah.
say they played
Is
us
is that
neck
Moody?
to neck.
might have
I don't
been.
know the numbers. Nikki Moody,
That was
his
it.
point guard, is
Yeah.
pretty darn good.
She's the blonde with the ponytail.
Ranked right now second in the country in assists.
We didn't have
Yeah,
anybody that
wow.
could guard her. We just, fortunately, late in the game, the lid went on the basket for Iowa State.
What got her in foul trouble early? That made a big difference.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But the women did their part and they won. Now they're going to play Drake on Sunday, and that game is on Connections 22.
Okay.
So we'll be able to watch that one. That game is
2 o'clock.
Oh, I didn't write the time down. I think
Okay.
you're right.
I think
2
it's
p.m.?
Let me see here. I've got it written down somewhere. Let's just check.
Don't forget the Bears are on it.
Oh, I didn't write it down. I'm sorry.
I'm sure it's a two fellows, but
That sounds about right. I thought I had that written
Well,
down.
they still have a head coach by that time.
oh, the Bears.
No, I don't think they will. I think they may get it today.
Really?
The-
Yeah, I had
The Bears
WGN
head
on.
coach.
The
Yeah.
rumor out of Chicago is that it won't be till the end of the year,
Yeah.
but that he's definitely going to
Well,
be.
the end of the year is
He's only
only
been there
about
two
10
Games,
days.
just 2 more games.
He's not the one who gave Jay Cutler that big contract.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is Cutler just cannot read defenses, and he just gets clobbered.
We got sacked
Well, it's
7
more than that.
times.
They don't have any defense.
Yeah,
They don't
no
have
offensive
anything.
line either,
No,
so.
no offense.
They've got a real good defense, I think.
I don't.
Oh,
No?
The Bears?
no. They,
You have been watching them.
I,
I mean,
You
my
haven't-
God, they're
you
giving
haven't
up
seen
more
very
points
much.
than anybody.
well, their defense is on the field all game because
They've
their
had some-
offense
well,
can't
they've had
do
some
anything.
injuries, But,
Yeah, I don't watch the pros.
don't you?
No.
I've been watching a little bit of NBA with my son. The Chicago Bulls have a entertaining team.
Yeah.
The thing that I love to watch the most about the NFL is people like Aaron Rodgers,
Mhm.
Tom Brady, even Ben Roethlisberger. Those guys are magicians with the football, the ability to throw it into the tiniest space like a bullet.
Like
on
a bullet,
line.
yeah.
But it's
It's rifle
also their
arms.
ability to read the defensive schemes
Yeah.
that are presented to them, to be able to pick up the blitz, things like that. That's just as much.
It's a
skill set
remarkably
than-
talented
Rodgers
athlete.
throwing.
didn't do too good Sunday.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, but they're
No.
throwing those bullets to a spot before their
Mhm.
receivers a lot of times make their break to the ball. I mean, that's
Well, he got an
that's
interception,
precision.
the most that he ever had.
Yeah. Without a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they're going to have those games. I think the Packers will be one of the final 4 teams.
I agree.
Well, they got Detroit.
Yeah.
And Detroit is tough.
The thing I like about watching
Yeah.
NFL is watching the former Hawkeye
Hawkeye.
players.
Yeah.
Brian Balaga is
One of the reasons
just,
you like the Packers.
Yeah, but he may be
he's something
gone.
to watch.
may be
Balaga,
gone.
he got hurt
Oh,
again.
yeah.
But
Again?
how
They
bad
say-
was it?
Oh my!
Well, they said he probably may not be back.
Was it his knee again?
Yeah.
Boy.
Gee.
And I mean, they had a take him off on the cart, and he was in pain. You could see the pain coming on.
This is only his 4th year, isn't it?
Yeah, sounds
He's
about right.
one of the best ball players they have, as far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned.
While we're talking about NFL, here's a trivia question for you.
Okay.
Who was the last ex-Iowa quarterback to throw a pass in the NFL?
In the NFL.
I don't know, man. I don't
This
care.
question grows out of the fact that Ricky Stanzi was just
Okay.
signed to the practice squad by the
Houston,
Houston Texans, but he still has not played it
Give,
down.
Give us
Right.
a choice.
I'm
How many
gonna-
Well,
quarterbacks do
I'm
we
going to
have?
guess.
It's not that
We don't
hard.
have very many.
Chuck Long is one of them.
Dan McGuire was the last one,
Really?
Okay. Wow.
Yikes.
29,
I like
28
him.
years ago.
And we
Oh, my
employ a
goodness.
pro-style offense.
He was a tall guy, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Very
Yeah.
tall.
Mark McGuire's brother.
Yeah.
Dan was 6'8", could throw the ball almost 100 yards in the air.
And he started, what, only his senior season,
Weren't too
right?
sure where it would land, but
Yeah.
he could
Yeah.
throw it a long way.
Yeah, he didn't have much of a head. to
And
the
who
game.
was the other guy that was behind, Vlasnik was behind
Vlasic.
Chuck
Mark
Long.
Vlasic,
Yeah.
He played in the NFL, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He
Yeah.
did.
And he did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
Hey, speaking of Hawkeye football,
yes.
we have a new Outland Trophy winner
Yes, we do.
and a new first-team All-American in Brandon Scherf from Denison, Iowa. That's a heck of an accomplishment, I think, given the overall season that the team had. I was a little surprised they gave it
Well,
to him.
yeah, I think even the overall season he had.
Yeah,
I couldn't be happier for Brandon. It's great for the program,
Yep.
great publicity, but I don't think he had an All-American year.
no, he got injured.
I would agree.
What game was he injured? Iowa State?
It was the second game of the
No,
season,
Ball
wasn't
State,
it?
he was chasing that.
Interception
Interception.
return.
That's right. And we thought, oh my gosh, he might be done for the year, and he was back the next.
Had surgery and played
Oh,
the next
He
week.
had a
Next
meniscus
week.
tear.
Yeah.
They went in
I
and
think it
snipped it.
affected his ability to move laterally all year.
I think he deserved every bit he got.
Well, he deserves it
He was
based
out,
on
yeah.
prior performance. I
And
think.
we're going to see him playing
Yeah.
on Sunday where a lot of those other
Oh,
guys.
Oh, yeah, he'll
I
be
agree.
playing on Sunday.
I agree. He's going to be an early first-round draft pick,
Yeah,
and
He's a terrific representative of the program.
yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
he'll be a top 10 pick.
Now, he's the fourth Outland Trophy winner for the Hawkeyes. Alex Karras, Robert Gallery, and he's
Reeve?
I'm drawing a blank. He has his number retired. Calvin Jones.
Calvin
Yeah.
Here's another trivia question.
Okay.
Yeah, I love
What-
these.
What current member of the Iowa coaching staff has coached 3 Outland Trophy winners?
We know this. Reese Morgan,
Yeah. Can you name the 3?
Chad Hennings.
Chad Henning is
He
the
coached
third.
at Benton Community High School,
Yeah.
and then he coached Gallery, and now Brandon Scherf at
And-
Iowa. Although he didn't technically coach Brandon Scherf because he's moved from the
Well,
offensive line.
Not this, but the way the question was phrased,
Oh.
Reese coached the offensive line
Yes, he
3
did.
years ago when Brandon would have been a freshman.
Yes, he
That's
did.
Yeah. And Chad Henning, he played at the Air Force
Yep.
Academy
Yeah.
and then for the Dallas Cowboys
Yep.
for several years.
He was a heck of an
Won the
NFL
Outland
player.
Trophy at the Air Force Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So that's quite an
You know.
accomplishment for Reese.
It sure is. Yeah.
but I will say it again. I was surprised Brandon Scherf won the Outland Trophy.
I would agree.
I just thought, 7-5 team. He was going up. The other 2 finalists were from Alabama and somewhere else with a good record this year. And I
Yeah.
thought, that's probably going to go to Alabama, like everything else, and it didn't.
I wonder
So-
how large that selection committee is, how many people they have involved in that selection for the Outland Trophy.
That's a good question, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be interesting to hear who that was and, how many people are involved, and I'm sure they all watch a lot of film.
How many
to
Big Ten
make that
players made the
determination.
All-American team?
Ooh, just a
3.
couple. They had the 2 running backs from Indiana and Wisconsin, Gordon
Right.
and Coleman.
Uh-huh.
And then
Who's
there's
this
there's an Ohio State kid,
Defensive line.
defensive lineman.
Joey Boza.
That's it,
Yeah.
from the Big Ten.
For
Yeah,
the first team, All-American team?
Correct.
So the kid from Indiana made it also?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I was a little surprised at that, too.
Well, I
yeah,
was. He
3
was
and
the kicker,
19,
though,
think
wasn't
about
No, the running
No, the
back.
halfback, the
Oh.
running back.
Coleman?
mean-
Tevin Coleman.
Tevin Coleman. He was good.
Oh,
He sure
he's
ran
been
all
great.
over
Big
us.
Ten,
He-
yeah, terrific.
My golly, what a game he had against the
Abdullah would have been
Hawkeyes.
in there if he hadn't gotten hurt.
Yeah, yeah. Well, guys,
We've seen the last of Melvin Gordon.
oh, thank goodness.
Thank goodness,
He's
yeah.
going to the NFL.
Well, what about
15
Coleman? What year
minutes?
is he? For
Uh,
Indiana.
I think he was a
Golly.
senior, but I'm not
I hope so.
positive.
Okay, and then you've got the back with Minnesota. What was that? Cole? What was his name? The tailback
Cobb.
from Minnesota had a
But the,
great
how,
game.
how about the
Cobb,
Wisconsin
yeah.
coach?
He
Well,
gone.
so
Going back
They
west.
say they're going to have a press conference at 6 o'clock today, this is Wednesday the 17th,
Yes.
to announce Paul Christ.
No,
What are you hearing?
he's paid, well, I read he's not going.
Well, he may have changed his mind, but they had
His
a
players met with him and
press conference scheduled for
he's
6
evidently
today.
has an All-American.
Well,
in some
they've got some
position.
great athletes at Pitt.
And he says he's gonna stick it
Who's
out.
the other guy that
Really?
is being mentioned
That's
for
what I
the
heard.
Wisconsin job? Chuck Long mentioned him at lunch last Friday.
Darrell Bevel.
No, doggone it.
It wasn't Chuck
Can't
Long
think of
fun.
it. Oh, that was great.
He's,
He's very good at that.
He's very articulate.
Yeah.
Where is Chuck Long? What's he doing now? I mean, I know
He's
he's
just been
Philly-
named the executive director of the Iowa Sports Foundation. He's basically taken over for Jim Hallahan, who's retired, who started that organization,
Former Iowa State
mostly
assistant coach.
known as the sponsor of the Iowa Games.
Yes.
Well, that's
what it is.
part-time.
Okay.
No,
no,
Well, it's,
Well, is
I
he
think
giving up
it's
the Big Ten? He's on that all the
not
time.
part-time.
but that's seasonal.
just in the fall.
Oh, just in the fall,
Okay.
okay.
So they're happy to
Yeah.
have him, and we'll let him continue to do that.
Okay, so he's
Yeah.
not giving that up. I like
No,
him on
no,
the Big Ten
No,
now.
he enjoys it.
So does Chuck live in the Cedar Rapids area?
No, his
Iowa-
wife did not move.
Chuck's moving, he was in Cedar Rapids when he was working
She
for
did?
Holmes
Yeah.
Murphy, but he's moving to Ankeny. His
Okay,
office is in Ames.
okay.
He said he didn't want to live in Ames.
Can't blame him. I'm proud to hear him say
We
that.
understand why, don't we?
Hey,
Yeah.
we've got 15 minutes, and we
Alright.
need to talk about some bowl games. This is our annual bowl pick'em week.
Well, we won't have time to pick them all.
Oh, we will. We're going to start with the bowl games that begin the day after Christmas. So we're going to cut
Okay.
through the garbage games. And that first game is the much sought after St. Petersburg Bowl game, ironically held in St. Petersburg, Florida, and that will feature North Carolina State versus Central Florida. Bud, who you got?
Central Florida.
Earl,
Central Florida.
Bud, or Bob?
Central Florida.
How about you, Pat?
Make it unanimous.
I've got North Carolina State. Okay. Now, here is the highly sought after Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit. Again, the day after Christmas. This will feature Rutgers versus North Carolina.
Used to be the Motor City.
Rutgers,
Right.
I'll take.
Yeah,
Earl,
North Carolina.
Bob,
Rutgers.
Pat,
Rutgers.
I've got Rutgers.
Come on,
Quick
North
Lane
Carolina.
Bowl. Why didn't they just call it Fast Lane Bowl? You know?
I think that's the name of the
That's the
sponsor.
company that paid
Okay,
the
I
sponsor.
see.
Same with the Gator Bowl.
Here's the Heart of Dallas Bowl, again, ironically held in Dallas. And that will feature Illinois versus Louisiana Tech. Bud,
Illinois.
Earl,
Yeah, Louisiana Tech.
Bob,
Louisiana Tech.
Pat,
I'm going to take Louisiana Tech, quarterbacked by the number 10 touchdown passer in the country with 29, former third-string
There
quarterback
you
at
go.
the University of Iowa, Cody Sokol.
Cody Sokol. I'm
Yeah.
going with Louisiana Tech as well. Next up is the Military Bowl at Annapolis, Maryland, ironically featuring no military teams. The Military Bowl will feature Cincinnati versus Virginia Tech. Who you got, Bud?
Cincinnati.
Earl?
Cincinnati.
Bob?
Cincinnati.
Virginia Tech.
I've got Virginia Tech as well. The Sun Bowl. There's a bowl that has kept its name.
Yes.
The Sun Bowl in El Paso will feature Arizona State versus Duke.
Arizona State.
Earl?
Duke.
Bob?
ASU.
Pat?
Arizona State.
That's who I've got. Duke had a really good year again, but they fell off at the end of the season, and so we'll see. The Pinstripe Bowl is held this Saturday, December 27th, in Yankee Stadium, and that will feature Boston College versus Penn State. Bud,
Penn State.
Earl,
Penn State.
Bob,
Oh, Penn State, why not?
and Pat.
Boston College.
I've got Boston College too.
Penn State
They had a
shouldn't be
big
playing
win.
in a bowl, by the way.
Their,
but
their
we're gonna-
coach is one of the people rumored to be in consideration at Michigan.
What's his name?
Aduzio?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. I've got Boston College winning that one. Next up is the Independence Bowl, another one that's kept its name. My brother played in the Independence Bowl a long time ago in Shreveport, Louisiana, and that is going to feature Miami versus South Carolina. I think this is going to be a good game. Bud,
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
South Carolina's due.
Miami.
I've got South Carolina. The Holiday Bowl in San Diego, also on Saturday the 27th. This will be the last game on the Saturday after Christmas. Nebraska versus Southern California.
Nebraska. Oh,
Bud,
Southern Cal.
Earl's got Nebraska.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Bob
Nebraska.
and Pat.
Southern Cal.
I've got Nebraska in this one. I don't know why, but I do. Monday, December 29th, the Russell Athletic Bowl in Orlando. This will feature Oklahoma versus Clemson. Bud,
Oklahoma.
Earl,
Oklahoma.
Bob,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
and I've got Oklahoma as well.
Whoa.
We're all going for Oklahoma there. The Texas Bowl in Houston will feature Arkansas versus Texas. And I don't think it's fair that Texas gets to play in the Texas Bowl, but oh well. They got to sell tickets. Bud, Texas versus Arkansas.
Texas.
Earl,
Arkansas.
Bob,
Arkansas.
Pat.
Arkansas.
I've got Arkansas too.
A.J. Derby.
I think they improved
Oh, they
at the end of the
improved a lot.
season.
As
And,
much as anybody in the United States.
yeah,
Yep.
and I just think they're going to be fired up for this. The Liberty Bowl in Memphis, Tennessee. I got to see my brother play there against LSU one year. That's a fun bowl. That will be Texas A&M versus West Virginia. Bud,
A&M.
Earl,
Virginia.
Bob.
A&M.
A&M.
I too have A&M. All right, Tuesday, December 30th, the Foster Farms Bowl in Santa Clara, California. Is that in the new
49ers Stadium, yes.
Levi Stadium.
This will feature Maryland versus
30-some
Stanford.
miles south of San Francisco.
Stanford.
You've got Stanford. Maryland versus San Francisco, Earl. Big Ten team.
I'll take Maryland.
Bob,
I'll take Maryland.
Pat.
Stanford.
I think Stanford playing next to home against Maryland, who really doesn't have much of a football tradition. Stanford all the way. Music City Bowl. This is one I was hoping the Hawkeyes would get. Nashville, Tennessee on December 30th, again, Tuesday night. Notre Dame versus LSU.
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 I've got Notre Dame.
Silly boy.
I struggled
You're
with
the
this
real
one.
outlier today.
Boy, you're
I
just,
struggled with that
you're
one.
just being ornery, aren't you?
Notre Dame really ended the season poorly, but I
Yeah.
got a feeling they're going to have time to
Let me
beat
see
it.
him
What was their
7
name's
and
record?
It's
7-5.
Is that what they are? The Belk Bowl is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Georgia versus Louisville. Bud,
Georgia.
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 Georgia. They got that running back. Yep. Louisville's no slouch, though, and that's going to be a good game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
good
will
game.
be.
And I think, I think just a lot of these are going to be a good game. Peach Bowl, Atlanta. New Year's Eve, Mississippi versus Texas Christian, TCU. Peach Bowl in Atlanta.
Mississippi.
Earl?
Mississippi.
Bob?
TCU's going to be mad.
Yep.
TCU.
I struggled with this one, but I took Mississippi. We'll see. It's going to be a heck of a game. There's rumor that the Mississippi coach
Yeah.
might go to Michigan.
Yeah, he's one of the people rumored.
Yep. I think he's just trying to get a bigger contract. but-
Better take some of his
That
players
happens.
with him.
Yeah.
Fiesta Bowl, again, December 31st. Boise State versus Arizona
Why did
in
they move that
Glendale.
to the 31st?
Arizona.
Good question. Earl?
Arizona.
Bob?
Arizona.
Arizona.
Same here.
Go with Rich Rod.
The Orange Bowl at Miami Gardens, Florida. What's Miami Gardens?
It's right on the edge of Fort Lauderdale and,
Is this a new stadium?
But what stadium is it in? Is it
well, it's the
in the
one we
same one
played
that,
in, yeah. Same
what was
one.
called
Orange
Land
Bowl.
Shark or?
Yeah, what was that thing
It's-
called?
They've changed hands
Yeah.
on so many things down there. Same with baseball.
This
They
is,
must not have a sponsor if it's now called Miami
Right,
Gardens.
that's what I thought.
Good point.
this will feature Mississippi State versus Georgia Tech.
Mississippi State.
Earl?
Georgia Tech.
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State.
Same here, Mississippi State. Okay, New Year's Day, Sugar Bowl, first game of the day. Oh, it's actually a night.
Okay.
There may be other games on.
There bound to be other games.
But, yeah, this is the first, and you know what, I take it back, they're going backwards here. Okay, Sugar Bowl's the last game of the day on New Year's Day, Ohio State versus Alabama.
I'm going to Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Bob?
Ohio State.
It pains me, but I'm going to go with Alabama.
I picked Ohio State, and it pains me too. Rose Bowl, Florida State versus Oregon.
Oregon.
Florida State.
Oregon.
Oregon.
Oregon
I
here.
think will be the national champion.
Yeah.
Could, very well could be.
Oh.
The Cotton Bowl will be on New Year's Day, and that's Michigan State versus Baylor. Bud?
I have to go with Baylor on that one.
Baylor.
Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Michigan State here. Also on New Year's Day, the Outback Bowl, Auburn versus Wisconsin. Bud?
Wisconsin.
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 Auburn.
Auburn here. Wisconsin doesn't have a coach. And,
Oh, they will be there.
Yeah,
Barry
Barry.
will
They'll
be
have
there.
They
Barry.
may not,
They got one.
they have
hand.
Barry.
You know, we shouldn't
That's
pick
right.
against Barry because I don't think he's ever lost
No,
a big
I don't
bowl
either.
game.
Yeah, he lost when they had,
last-
When he, yeah, you're
The
right.
last time he's
That's right.
substitute, he lost.
Rose Bowl. He lost.
Citrus Bowl will be on New Year's Day, and that will feature Missouri versus Minnesota. Bud,
Minnesota.
Earl,
What'd you say?
Missouri versus the Golden
I'll
Gophers.
take Missouri.
Bob,
Missouri.
Missouri.
and I've got Mizzou as well. I think they really came on strong, and they've just played a much tougher season, much tougher
Remember,
schedule.
Indiana beat him.
Yeah, but that was early in the season.
Yes, they did.
That's right.
They gave Alabama a good game for 3/4.
Yeah.
So, January 2nd, Friday, the Armed Forces Bowl, not to be confused with the Military Bowl, curiously does
Yeah.
not feature any of the armed services teams. This will be Houston versus Pittsburgh. Bud, who you got?
I'm going to take Pittsburgh because
I'll take Pittsburgh.
Bob?
Pittsburgh.
Pat?
Pitt.
I've got Houston. Alamo Bowl, also on January 2nd, Kansas State versus UCLA. I think this is going to be a good game.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got, Bud?
where's it at? Kansas State.
The Alamo Bowl is in San Antonio.
Yes, Kansas State.
Kansas State.
Bob?
UCLA.
Pat?
Kansas State. Kansas State.
Yeah, I've got KSU too. And here's the Tax Slayer Bowl, Iowa versus Tennessee on January 2nd.
I can't even spell that.
Tax Slayer. You don't have to.
Just call it the Gator Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I call it.
Yeah.
I know who you guys are
Iowa.
picking. Bob, who you got?
I'm picking Iowa.
I'm picking Iowa.
I've got Iowa. And then
Don't
finally,
say it with so much enthusiasm.
Yeah, you're right.
trust me, I don't have a lot of enthusiasm about their
Oh, my goodness.
ability to win.
We have hope.
The last game, Cactus Bowl
But
at Tempe, Arizona. What were you going to say?
I was going to say that Iowa is, I think will win.
Okay.
Again,
Well, Tennessee's missing their two top wide receivers.
that's right, and that's a long time.
We don't have any injuries.
To prepare for a game.
Yep.
That's right.
He's done pretty well.
We got 1 minute to go. So
Okay.
Washington versus Okie State in Tempe at the Cactus Bowl. Go, Bud.
Washington.
Earl,
State.
Okie
Wow.
State.
Pat,
Oklahoma State.
and I've got Okie State. We're out of time. This is our last show of the year, Bud. As always, love having you here. Look forward to hearing your reports from Florida.
Can I say hello to my wife?
Say hello to your wife,
Yes.
but shortly.
It's been a good. We've had a good wedding.
Pat's going to be with us this winter for a while, taking Bud's place.
Can
In
I
the
say hello
meantime-
to Earl's wife?
Yeah.
Hi, Louise.
We might as well
Happy
say
New
hello
Year.
to
Very
Louise.
good.
Thanks, Joe Murphy, for everything he's done. Thanks to you for tuning in. Thanks for your comments. We appreciate you watching. And remember this, either you're a Hawk or you're not. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. We'll see you the first Wednesday after New Year's Day.